Good evening, everybody. Take two here on Talkin Torque. Again, my name's Colin Livingston. We are testing, we are playing around here at the Westworld studio. Got the green screen, the cool cart in the background. That's actually me from Tucson here a couple weeks ago. Trying to play around with, we've got all these fancy lights, we've got multiple cameras, we need to figure out how to use them. Lots of activity going on in the background as we're trying to work out some audio issues. Hoping we can get a few people jumping on here tonight, give us some feedback as to, how the audio sounds. I can hear myself. I'm not really sure how well we're transmitting out there. Monitors are kind of out of position, so I need to look away from time to time. I need to, goof around a little bit here, but this is kind of a live test to make sure that going forward, if we're going to be doing more of the shows from over here, we get everything right. And I want to first of all extend my appreciation to Daryl and Nikita over here at Westworld Computers on the west end of Edmonton. Daryl's been a multi-time guest on the podcast. Great guy. They got a great setup over here. Again, they're the Apple people, the Apple dealers before Apple was ever in Canada directly. So it's awesome to be able to utilize their new studio here. I know it's been in the works for quite a few months, but like Daryl, as a former racer, I think he applied the same mindset to building the studio that they keep tweaking and they keep changing and they keep altering until it's time to throw the green flag. So we're jumping on here right now. Looks like we got a few people watching. If hopefully people are watching on YouTube, maybe on Twitter. If you can, send a quick note. Let us know how this sounds. Let us know how everything looks. Unfortunately, with the green screen, I gotta say, makes me look a little bit more gray than what I actually am. But maybe this will give me a little bit more of a distinguished look, a little bit sophisticated maybe. Sounds like everything, at least from our internal checks, is working good. I'm getting a couple of high signs in the back, some thumbs up. Pending any incoming comments. Spent a lot of time, came from the radio studio over to the TV studio. Just finished with Gregor. Still really not happy. For anyone that's out there, obviously you're following us because we're on Crier. You're either a fan of racing, a fan of the business side of things. I went on a bit of a tear today. I've continued to voice, my, I don't want to say displeasure. I don't want to shit on an entire organization, but I have a hard time watching NASCAR at the pro level. Specifically the US series, the trucks, the Xfinity series, and the Cup series. Last weekend was another great example of where my issues lie and where I think NASCAR needs to focus. If you didn't watch the race, or if you did watch the race, late race caution, ends up in a green-white checkered finish. NASCAR, a bunch of years ago, determined that there's restart zone. There is a definitive line to where you can start, and there's a definitive line where you must start, and you can go anywhere as the leader in that specific zone. Last weekend, Denny Hamlin jumped the start. Now he did a good job explaining of what it's like in the car and how it can be possible for a driver who's watching the mirrors and the traffic that's around to maybe get a little bit of a jump start. But at the end of the day, Elton Sawyer came on Sirius Radio, talked about the scenario, said that yes, he did jump, said that towards the end of the race, NASCAR won't enforce these rules as they would in the earlier part of the race, saying that if it's early in the race, they have more time to analyze what goes wrong. It also gives drivers more of a chance to overcome, a penalty. But they said that they won't go forward and they won't, this is something that they won't be enforcing. So they've, they warned the field not to make a habit of this, but they also said that there's not a lot that they're going to do about it, which translates to what they once said, with regard to some of the on-track incidents that they were seeing is have at it, boys. Any athlete, any competitor is going to take full advantage of every situation that they get. So if they know that a penalty is not thrown, they're going to use that to their advantage, to their maximum ability going forward. And that's where I have an issue. They come up with rules, they don't enforce the rules. The penalties for some things are infinitely more severe. One of my long-standing issues, with this, since they've come up with the new car, is why they're still enforcing the loose wheel penalties at the same level as they used to when they used to have five stud wheels. Teams would deliberately cheat. They would drill holes through some of the nuts. They would weld them on so that they could complete a pit stop quicker. Nowadays, they can't do that. There's a center lock wheel. It's one nut. It doesn't take a lot of time to bolt the things on. There's no advantage to the team if they get if they don't get the wheel tight. They know it's going to wobble. It's going to kill their race. But teams are still getting penalized like they're cheating. The teams don't build the wheels. The teams don't build the nuts, but they're told exactly where they by NASCAR rule, they have to buy a certain manufacturer's product. So it's really a lot out of the team's hands. If a crew member makes a mistake, it's a legitimate mistake. It's not something to gain an advantage. So it's something that needs to be changed. Where if a driver makes deliberate contact with another driver, ending their race, makes deliberate contact, crashes another car, there's almost never a penalty for that. NASCAR will not take a look at that. They want that kind of conflict. They want that kind of on-track action, and that's the kind of stuff that I don't like as a driver and as a real fan of motorsports. I love when a driver can show their skill. A driver can show how they can get a little bit deeper into a corner. They can, use the outside line. They can outbrake. They can out-accelerate. They out-position. That's what racing is all about. Any idiot can drive into another car. This is not skill. Until these things get policed, I'm going to have a bit of an issue with how NASCAR's going. Again, we got a bunch of people watching. If you can, send us a note. Let us know how things look. You can call me ugly. You can call me fat. I don't care. Obviously we've talked about being gray-haired. This is a demo show. We had a good friend of ours, Ryan Edwards, was lined up. Unfortunately, Ryan came down with a bit of an illness. He was willing to do the show, but what Ryan does, I don't want him compromised at all. Ryan's a mentalist. He has an act and he has an ability that is really awesome, and his delivery is really, really cool. So what we were hoping to do is kind of showcase what Ryan's act is and what his show is like, which is especially cool because we're going to be doing it virtually. He's in Ontario, I'm in Alberta, but his abilities are amazing. I've seen his show live. We had him booked for one of our racing Christmas parties. Unbelievable. I'm very skeptical. I understand that this is more about intuition and this is more about perception than it is about quote unquote magic. But Ryan's act and his ability to pull information out of people and to kind of trick your mind is exceptional. So hoping that Ryan gets better soon. We'll get him in a couple weeks. Next week, tentatively, I've got to confirm, but we should have Alex on, as in Tagliani. I'll be in California. I've got a go-kart race at Sonoma. We've got a motorsports announcement that we're going to be talking about. it was 2 weeks ago, I believe. The announcement came out. Alex is going to be partnering in the NASCAR Pinty Series with Donald Teege. They're going to be sharing the car. Alex doing the road course racing, Donald doing the oval racing, with the hopes that we're going to be able to run for a team championship. So that's going to be, it's going to be kind of cool to be able to focus on the road courses where Alex is really the strongest. We've obviously struggled the last couple of years on the oval package, but it's going to be really, kind of sad for me that we're not going to be doing the full series this year. We've got a lot of friends, across the series. Many of the drivers, especially my counterparts up in the spotter stand, without question, we've got a great group up there. So I'm definitely going to miss rubbing elbows with all those greats. Obviously we'll stay in touch and hopefully to still cover everything, but then we've got another announcement for another racing program that is going to be taking the slack throughout the rest of the year. So hopefully we get tag booked, and I'll be doing that again live from location down in Sonoma. That's kind of where my focus is right now. Is I've got a very, very full week of testing, practicing, really trying to adapt. I race a DD2, so my karting, the majority of my karting experience over the last 15 years has been in a two-speed, 34 horsepower, two-stroke kart. Moving into the shifter is a very, very different animal. It doesn't drive the same. It doesn't really require the same things, but I keep by default trying to drive it the same way. And I've got a lot to learn. So next week, thanks to our partners running with Ron White Racing, great guys over there with Ron. Ryan Martin has been Ron's kind of right-hand man. He's an Edmonton kid. Just to go down there, really kind of open my mind, shut my mouth, get to listen to what they have to say, to do it in a really proper test environment where we don't have pressure of a schedule, we don't have any objective or any thought of really getting up to speed, and to try and get out and work on these techniques. One specific area that I really struggle with, the DD2, you don't use your engine to slow down. We've got, full brake sets. We've got front brakes and rear brakes, which is kind of unique. Most two-stroke or four-stroke karts only have a rear brake. And I use the brakes to slow my kart down. In the shifter kart, you really have to use the engine as much as the brakes to slow the kart down. And it's hard for me to get the sequence of when to lift, when to brake, and when to start downshifting. Fortunately, on our karts, we have these, data acquisition systems, these lap timers that will record RPM. They'll record all of our position on the track, and we can actually go back to where I go back and say, hey guys, I think I got it. This was really great. And they can look at the data and say, take a look at your RPM trace. You're not even close. You're on coast for too long. You don't hit the brakes soon enough. And by the time you hit the brakes, the engine RPM's too low and you're not using enough of that engine braking. So that's going to be one of the big things we're working on. Hope to get to see a couple of my industrial counterparts get down. We've got a really good supplier, a really good friend of ours in the Bay Area. Definitely looking forward to getting down there and seeing them, and then get back into full race mode on Thursday. Sonoma Raceway, Sears Point. I think they call it Sears Point Karting now. I've been to the big track for IndyCar. Been there for I can't remember, 2 or 3 races. It was really awesome. Going to be great to finally see the go-kart track. I've always looked up kind of on the hill where that go-kart track is at the Sears Point Raceway at Sonoma. Never really got to see it, but spending a lot of time looking at previous drivers in-car videos and really trying to get a feel for what we're going to be up against, so that when we get on track, I'm not lost. It was a mistake I made. The very first race I did in a shifter 5 years ago, arriving in Tucson, having not studied the track at all, having not practiced in a shifter, not really knowing what the technique was, and honestly, equal parts ignorance and arrogance, that I would be able to pick it up because I can do it at my track. I was really lost, and it really opened my eyes to how much I had to prep, how poor my conditioning was, how much physical training I had to do to really start to endure what the shifter has to offer. Really spending a lot of time and energy. Even after the first race, I'd been training all winter. I know kind of what I need to do now, but still, my core wasn't quite where I needed to be, and the cardio wasn't quite there. But unfortunately or unfortunately, got to take a week. Last week we were over in China. First trip back there in 5 years. Obviously, the pandemic kept us out. We've got some really good customers there. I do have a couple of really good suppliers, so we wanted to make sure that get back, kind of see how everyone's progressing. It's always different when you get to visit someone in person versus exchanging emails or even doing video calls, because you don't really get to see everything in real time. They maybe have an agenda that they want to stick to, but you see something that you didn't know that they did. So within, at the one factory, I think we were only there for about 6 hours, but we got more done in a few hours than we ever possibly could have over a month's worth of emails. Some really neat things that they're working on. But they also rely on us in a lot of cases to give them suggestions, to give them product feedback, to give them our customer feedback, which we're happy to do because in conjunction with this one factory, we've developed a handful of products that they're now selling around the world, but that they're done to our specification, which is really cool. Then getting to visit our customers and kind of seeing firsthand what they're doing with our tools. It's interesting for me because customers will do very different things with our tools locally than they do in international markets. Not just how they put them on a joint or on a wellhead or a flange, but the way that they approach their maintenance, the way that they approach servicing, and the way that they actually operate, and how they'll sometimes come up with their own accessories. So it was great to get out, visit our customer, see what's going on. Gave us a lot of feedback for what we need to do going forward. Some really cool ideas. We've got our new machine shop open, our new machine shop. We've got one production machine that we're able to custom produce a lot of accessories, some of the smaller parts. So we've got that fairly busy, and really looking forward to a couple of the new things that are coming out. Again, if you don't mind, if you can shoot us a note, whether you're on Twitter, on YouTube, just want to make sure that things are sounding okay. Listen to the feedback. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them here. I'm not going to sit here just flapping my yap all night. We're again just kind of doing a demo show. Wanted to bring everyone up to speed with what's going on. And then hopefully next week, like I said, we get Alex confirmed. If not, I'll find somebody else. We'll do a probably a live hit from the go-kart track. If there's something you want to see from the track, again, we go live generally 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight was a bit of an exception because we're in this beautiful new studio, this great green screen. I think I'm gonna really start calling it the gray screen because there's a lot of stuff going on up here. I'm just trying to think if we got anything else to bring you guys up to speed with here. Damn, everything's backwards, so I got to remember. Picture in the background, have to thank our good friend Cody Schindel from Canadian Karting News. He's literally traveling the world documenting, racers. Will travel Canada across, he'll go back and forth a couple times a year, based in Ontario, travels to the Quebec races, comes down. He's been with us and with some of our friends during the Florida Winter Trophy, some of the other SCUSA races down there. We also had Cody in Tucson with us. I know we'll be back for Sonoma. So thanks again, Cody. But anyone who's interested, if you're a racer, you get to the go-kart track, make sure you look them up. Very, very affordable packages. You'll get more pictures than you know what to do with. Great dude. But instead of me just flapping my app and trying to kill time, I think we got enough, enough coverage here, and look forward to coming back next week again from Sonoma, California, hopefully with our good friend Alex. And as always, if you got a comment, maybe you're trying to send comments and they're not coming through the system, I don't have anything showing up on my end, you're always welcome to email me, colin@cantorque.com, Cantorque spelled CANTORQUE. Otherwise, we'll be back here next Thursday.